Hello and welcome back to some more Quake Champions. I almost said Quake Live there, but I'm back with some more Quake Champions. I had another gameplay I wanted to share with you, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about some of the things I've been thinking about while I've been playing. And I've been playing a fair bit. I haven't played for the last few days. There's been a new patch that came out, not a new patch, basically a new update for it that changed a few things, and there are a few things that got changed that, I don't know, it kind of feels a little bit weird, a little bit different to play now. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about something that I'm kind of worried about with the game, and it's got nothing to do with weapons and lag and anything like that. It's a more core issue that I think is going to raise its head with this particular game, and that core issue is veteran players. That is going to be a massive issue, I think, with this game. Now, these particular games, free to play or whatever, I mean a AAA title that comes out at full retail price, they live and die by their player base. And if you have something that has a player base that dies or dwindles extremely quickly, the game may not get any more development purely because they're not earning any money for it. Now, of course, there are exceptions where you can have very small but extremely dedicated communities, and that is something that kind of happened with the Quake series in Australia for a long time. But that was back when you buy a game and that was basically it. You just bought it and you played it until like no one played it anymore. With this, it's a bit different because it's on the free-to-play model. Any updates for it, any future development for it, patches, any work that needs doing on it, servers and etc that need running, they need money to keep that going. Now, if this game comes out and people are happy to play the free-to-play version, fantastic, that's great. But it doesn't actually earn them any money if no one buys any of the crates, if no one buys any of the champions. And I'm kind of worried that what will happen is a lot of the veterans will return. Even players that are just very good at FPS are going to want to play the new Quake. High-level Battlefield players, high-level Call of Duty players, basically anyone with a bit of FPS skill is probably going to want to jump in and test their mettle in the new Quake. I mean, let's be honest, Quake is the granddaddy of 3D FPS, man. Like, competitive multiplayer, yeah, like what you see now, Quake basically gave birth to that. If you look way back when, in the days of like Dennis Fong, like Thresh, when he was playing Quake World, he was like one of the first dudes to ever win serious material or monetary possessions through video game. I believe the very first tournament that they ever had. Now, I'm going back 20 plus years, so my memory may be a bit spotty, but I believe that Thresh was like the first. He was like the first big recognizable name in esports. I can't think of anyone before him, and he won a tournament, and he actually won a Ferrari that was John Carmack's Ferrari at the time. I can't remember what it was. I'll have to look it up. If you want to look it up, you can look that up. But like I said, Quake fathered this shit, man. Quake is the father of esports. I don't think anyone can debate that. So all the stuff you see now, all the big tournaments and things like that, it all began here. So I think that the big thing is, unless it gets a player base of people that are happy to spend money on it, happy to buy the champions, happy to buy crates, it's probably going to die a pretty quick death. And that's really going to be disappointing because I really enjoy the game. I kind of trailed off there. I can't remember whether I made the point I actually wanted to make, but you get the idea. The idea is I'm worried that this is going to be too hardcore for the friendly FPS generation, and by that I mean the people that play Call of Duty with all the crazy abilities and setups and weapons and things that make it easier to hide and camp and all this craziness, man. And don't get me wrong, there's a little bit of that in this now, but the abilities in this really do take a back seat. The abilities in this 100% take a back seat to the gunplay. I haven't seen anybody in this game that absolutely dominates purely because of a character that they've used. I've gone up against some very, very good players just recently in Australia. For a while there, most of the people that were playing were new, but recently I've gone up against probably some very, very veteran Quake Live or Quake 3, Quake 2, or even Quake World players from Australia. Now, a lot of them are probably using aliases, so I don't remember a lot of the names, but going up against monsters it's terrifying, man. It's terrifying. And for me to be terrified and for me to get smashed, I'm definitely, like I said, I'm not a top player. I'm probably a reasonable player. But for me to get trounced like that, I just cannot imagine how a new player is going to feel. And for people that come in from Call of Duty, from Battlefield, I'm like, oh, yo, this is competitive FPS. I play that. I'm going to give this a go. It's going to be an awakening. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be like, what the hell is this? It's so fast. It's so unfair. I can't get the power-ups. What am I supposed to do? How is this guy landing 90% rail on me? Like, it's just going to be a really, really big shock, I think, for a lot of people. But we'll see how it goes. The whole point is I'm just worried that it's going to be too unfriendly for new players. It's not going to have enough to attract a new player base, a new generation. The people that are going to play it are going to be the old guard, the hardcore players, and it's probably not going to make enough money. And if it doesn't make enough money, development will have to cease, unfortunately. But that's what I wanted to talk about with that particular topic, man. How do you feel about that? What do you think for people that watch this video? I don't know how popular Quake will be on my channel, but I love playing it. My gameplay, I think, is not too bad to watch. I'm not too bad, but I don't know how it'll go. But the first one I did had pretty good views. The second one I didn't even show up in my channel feed, so I think a lot of people probably missed the second Quake video I did. But for people that are watching and that are interested in Quake, how do you think it's going to do in 2017 in the current market of games, with the Call of Duty generation, with the Battlefield generation, with the pay to win now instead of just buy it, play it? Like, how do you think it's going to go? And what can they do to bring players in? People have talked about a friendlier mode that's maybe easier for newer players or something like that, but I don't know how you'd even implement that. Of course, it's going to have some kind of skill-based matchmaking or an ELO system or something like that, but most of that is going to be for duels, for just 1 versus 1. When you're playing public deathmatch or public TDM, most of that isn't going to really have like an ELO or a skill rating. What we used to play back in the day in Quake 3 was free-for-all, and like that's where I'm from. I'm not really one of the duel guys. I didn't do a whole lot of 1v1 stuff. I was the dude that just loved to play free-for-all. Just go in, and free-for-all is incredibly fast because you could not stop. You anyone on the map was an enemy. So that's basically what deathmatch is in this. It's free for all. So, but in Quake 3 they called it FFA, and that's where I was born. I was born in free for all in Quake. But I don't know whether they're gonna have like a skill rating or a matchmaking system, because it's just a public open game type. Duels and maybe sacrifice or anything that sort of focuses heavily on team play, communication, etc. probably will have to have some kind of matchmaking system that relies on skill. But I don't know, man. What can they do to bring the new generation in? What can they do to more attract the Overwatch players, which is the market they really need to capture? If they can capture the Overwatch market, even if 1% of their player base plays the game and buys like 1 crate or 1 champion, I mean, the return they'll make on that would probably fund development for quite some time. So I don't know whether that guy went flying. I don't know whether the game is going to have enough to attract them. We still don't know how many champions we're going to get on release. We still don't know how many maps we're going to get, how many game modes. I mean, we don't even know the release date. The quote is the game will come out after an extensively long beta. So that's the quote from one of the devs. So who knows when this thing's even going to launch? The only thing they've said now is 2017. But anyway, rambling again. Let me know what you think on my thoughts. And until the next video, we'll see you later.